Well, Avengers Infinity War left me unsatisfied, and then I left everyone unsatisfied with my review of Avengers Infinity War. Man, superhero stuff just hasn't been working out for me recently. I need a real pick-me-up now. Something to get me into superheroes again. Something that's just, I don't know. It could be anything, really. How did I not notice this when I first walked past? What is this thing? Aha! This finally arrived from Captain Eli's. You probably have no idea what this is, and you probably still won't know when I explain it, but, well, I guess a bit of an introduction is in order. So I intend to do a full review of this series at some point, but here's the basic thing you need to know. The Undersea Adventures of Captain Eli started out as a promotional tie-in for, of all things, a soda company, specifically to promote Captain Eli's root beer, which is a Maine specific brand. I don't drink soda, so I have no idea how it tastes. But the comic, as written and drawn by Jay Piscopo, wound up taking on a life of its own. As you can see, there are 3 volumes here. The third one was just released. And they are a very interesting kind of comic. As you can see, he signed these ones. Think something along the lines of, what would it be? Suppose you took the classic Hanna-Barbera cartoons from the 60s, like Space Ghost or Johnny Quest or something, mixed it in with Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and did it all as a Silver Age comic book. That would be the Undersea Adventures of Captain Eli. And again, I will review these in full at some point. So you may be wondering, what exactly is in this box that has to do with this series you've probably never heard of? Well, you're about to find out. More tape on this side. Ah, cheese doodles, white cheddar. Let me just do away with some of these. I can feel my intended target. Here we are. And is there anything else? No, it's all together. Within this bubble wrap are a couple of comics and a figure of the Sea Ghost, done like an old-fashioned kind of thing. So, I'm sure you're all wondering now, what is the Sea Ghost? Well, as you can tell from the cover of Volume 3, he's a major player in this series. You might think, some of you might think, at least looking at him, he looks a little bit like Space Ghost from the classic Hanna-Barbera series, although most of you in the modern day would more likely know him as the host of Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Now, that is not a coincidence, mind you. I met Jay Piscopo at a recent convention, which is how I found out about this and how he signed those volumes. Sea Ghost was originally, well, he was obviously heavily inspired by Space Ghost. If you put a picture up here and see them kind of back to back, you can see some similarities. And I have it on good authority that he's a super Hanna-Barbera fan. You would be amazed. And, I mean, obviously he is. It was a heavy inspiration for the comic. And in particular, he knows that kind of trivia, like, that you might not otherwise have heard of. So, Sea Ghost, apparently, was a concept they were bouncing around right before Space Ghost was canceled, but nothing was ever done with it. There was no trademarks or copyrights or anything. So, when he learned about this and he started doing this new series, he took the idea and ran with it. So, as you can see, there's a little thing on the back about his bio. The aquatic hero everyone loves comes to life. Sea Ghost was first seen in J. Piscopo's The Undersea Adventures of Captain Eli, and quickly became a fan favorite, appearing in his own comic book. Sea Ghost is an homage to Golden Age comic book superheroes, and has been named one of the coolest superheroes of the Seven Seas by Robot 6. You can see the various poses on the back. So, yeah, it's not just the figure that came here. There's also a one-shot comic from Nemo Publishing Group. I said there was a Jules Verne influence. So he's in a particularly hard to get into kind of container. I'm just gonna jump ahead to when he's actually out. Alright, here's the Sea Ghost in all of his glory. As far as articulation goes, let's see. His head can turn a full 360 degrees. Not that he would need to do that ever. Shoulders appear to be predominantly... This feels like there might be a ball joint in there, but movement isn't too much. Also can bend both arms at the elbow, and his hands twist at the wrist. Twists at the torso. Ball joints at the hips for his legs. Both knees can bend, and both feet have some articulation. Like you can bend them back for a dynamic flying hero pose. The shirt seems to be somewhat restrictive of his arm movement. And he's wearing a fabric costume here, so kind of got that old-fashioned feel to him. He stands quite well. Got good balance. Detail is about what you would expect, in line with what we see. The costume apparently can Velcro in the back. So, paint job looks good. Not that there's a whole lot. His hands and his head are the only thing that are exposed. Hands are completely white. Head is mostly black with the exposed blue and white hair. Paint job looks mostly good. There's a little bit of stuff at the seams where the paint is, if it focuses, there you can see a couple of times where it kind of bleeds in, which is unfortunate, but from a distance, it looks okay. Now, this is the one-shot comic featuring Sea Ghost that spun off from the Undersea Adventures of Captain Eli. And it's part of the reason why I ordered this, because there was briefly a deal on the website, which I've linked to in the description, where you could get the figure and they threw this in for free. It was a limited time thing, so I don't think that's the case anymore. Obviously, I have not read it yet, but looking through it, that's what the art looks like. As you can see, very much in line with Silver Age comics of the day. Looks like it'll be an interesting read, certainly. Yeah, it looks pretty good. This will be also on the review block. This is a preview of the main series. Looks like it contains the first official story and the very, very beginning of the ongoing storyline. So, obviously, this doesn't hold much for me since I already have read that part, but You know, if you haven't and you're wondering what all of this is about, you know, could be an interesting little tease there. So yeah, this was interesting. Interesting new superhero that maybe you haven't heard of but want to know more about. Comes with a story as well. Yeah, I think this was a nice little bit of a pick-me-up. So, there you have it, folks. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer and the Sea Ghost signing off.